Hi there, I'm John.
Hi, and I'm Lou. This is the fourth in our little mini-series called the 4 Ps. Again, we're picking up on the original question, how do I stop my partner from drinking too much?
Yeah.
And as we've said before, that is quite a complicated question, but there's some things that you can stop doing yourself that will influence your partner's drinking behaviour. We're on the last of those, and that is pleading. This is the
Pleading.
the hitting the old guilt button, isn't it? So
Yes.
explain what pleading is then.
Pleading really is sort of, I think you put it in a nutshell,
Yeah.
hitting the old guilt button.
Yeah.
It's pleading, asking them to promise to change, to, you know, if you really loved me then you would not do this, and it's that kind of approach.
Is that a killer if you happen to be a drinker?
Yeah, well, speaking personally, I found it really, really difficult. I thought, you know, here I am, my wife is upset, and she is feeling very vulnerable, she's feeling attacked, she's feeling, you know, really under strain, and, you know, her health is suffering, and here am I am supposed to be the person who is the protector, who looks after this house, who protects this house from all comers, and really I'm the one who's causing all these problems. And you might think, okay, well, if that's the case, then why don't you change? And you would think, yeah, should have. But, and this is where it comes back to the drinker. The drinker starts to feel all this guilt, and rather than say, okay, I better change, what they do is go, I'm feeling very guilty, I must get rid of this guilt. I know how to get rid of this guilt, I'll drink.
So it pushes them back further into denial then, really?
It really kind of does. It's not so much denial, it's actually not wanting to face it, obliterate it, you know. It's the, you know, when you talk about people wanting to drown their sorrows, this is the drowning of the sorrows. You know, I'm inadequate, I'm not a good man, I'm, you know, the causing the problems in my house, therefore, you know, I'm a terrible person, I'll go and drown my sorrows.
I know with the first three, with policing and protecting, and the can't remember the other one at the moment, but then the punishing. Then you're kind of trying to control your partner, and nobody likes being controlled, so you can kind of rise up and defend yourself against that. But I think that when you just come and you're vulnerable and just say, you know, please, you've got to help me here, I can't go on. I have to say, having done this as a partner, this is the hardest one to be rejected from, because you feel, and you can almost see when you're talking that you're getting through to your partner. When I've used to plead with my first husband, and I felt I was really getting through, because I could see them getting really upset, and I kind of felt like we hit the jackpot, this is the one that's really going to work. And so it felt really awful when it didn't work. But I think, you know, I think the guilt is a hugely strong trigger, isn't it, of drinking? Is it number one, do you think?
For some people it can be. You know, I mean, the number one is negative feelings. Getting rid of negative feelings. Whatever they might be, whether they be anger, whether they be feelings of rejection, feelings of guilt, whichever, you know. And it depends what feelings that you are prone to. I know for me that it really did hit my guilt buttons. I know what you would say is, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. I'm just trying to tell you how I feel. But unfortunately, that's what it's like when it leaves you. But when it gets to me, what it's saying to me is, you're worthless, you're useless, you know, you hurt me all the time.
You're a failure.
You're a failure.
Yeah.
You're failing as a man, and you're failing as a husband. Now, that's not what you're trying to say.
And as a father, that's even the worst.
And as a father, yes. So,
you
know, yes, pile it on.
Yes.
You know, that's not what you're trying to say, but that's what I hear.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say, if your partner's a mother, again there'll be a lot of vulnerability, and if she's kind of hearing she's failing as a mother as well as a wife, that will make her feel extremely guilty. Now remember, in other situations this should be the thing that really gets the message through, but because often the drinking is about masking these negative painful emotions, then actually without realising it you're making the situation worse.
But the other thing, of course, is that this is a strategy. It tends to be used at a very vulnerable time with the drinker, is right after the binge. You know, that's when it's used, and of course that's when the drinker can't cope with it because they're fuddled, they're hurting. You know, they're raw. Because what happens is you drink to get rid of these negative feelings, but when the drink wears off, they come back, actually worse than they were before, you know. And so if you're hitting them at that point, then it's very, very, very difficult. So, unfortunately, it's another one that doesn't really work.
So we've said a lot about what we want to stop doing. What we would like you to start doing at this point is to actually start taking care of yourself. And there is a video about that, and we strongly recommend that right at the end of these 4 Ps, if you haven't already watched the video, then go watch it, because one of the things you must start doing is starting to take care of yourself so that you can begin to approach this situation in a much more kind of rational and a much more careful and measured way, so that you can begin to make progress. Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.